Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive with us.
Glad to be here.
Today, we're going to be looking at Taqwa.
Okay.
And we're going to be taking a look at Taqwa using this excerpt from an academic paper.
Right.
Which is interesting because it kind of connects Taqwa to, like, personal responsibility, ethical behavior, even, like, soldiers defending their homeland.
Yeah, and it's interesting because Taqwa is rooted in the Quran.
Yeah.
But it's not just about religious duty.
Right.
It really is kind of a broader way of life philosophy almost,
So how would you define Taqwa?
Well, the paper describes it as a boundary guardian's sense of responsibility.
Okay.
And they use this really great analogy of a border guard.
Okay.
We think of border guards as protecting physical borders.
Yeah.
But Taqwa goes beyond that.
Right.
It's really about safeguarding the borders of our minds and hearts.
That's interesting because that makes you think about, like, what boundaries do we need to be protecting in our own lives?
For sure.
Like, is it our values? Is it our time? Is it our energy? Like,
Right. You're choosing what to let in, what to keep out.
yeah.
Both physically and mentally.
Yeah.
And they take this idea even further
Okay.
and use this really kind of extreme example
Okay.
of the Turkish soldiers at the Battle of Sarıkamış in 1914.
And that was a horrific battle.
It was.
I mean, you had thousands of soldiers dying in the winter,
Yeah.
defending their homeland.
And they connect their sacrifice directly to Taqwa,
Okay.
arguing that these soldiers demonstrated incredible responsibility and commitment to duty, even in the face of unimaginable hardship.
Right. I mean, just that idea of defending your homeland, even at the cost of your own life. That's,
Right. A
Maybe-
powerful manifestation of Taqwa in action.
Yeah, but I guess the question is Taqwa really a universal concept, or is it just tied to, a specific culture and religion?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And the paper actually argues that Taqwa is a universal human responsibility.
Okay.
They compare it to our body's natural defense systems.
Yeah.
We have an immune system to fight off disease,
That's
digestive system to process food,
Yeah.
and they present Taqwa as like a moral immune system,
Interesting.
helping us to make responsible choices
Yeah.
and navigate the complexities of life.
So a moral immune system. That's an interesting image.
It is.
What do we need to do to, like, strengthen our moral immune system?
Well, that's where they bring in this metaphor from the Quran
Okay.
of Taqwa as a garment.
A garment.
Yeah.
How does clothing relate to responsibility?
Well, think about it. Clothes protect us from the elements, right?
Sure.
This metaphorical garment of Taqwa is said to protect us from wrongdoing and guide us toward ethical behavior.
So it's like a shield
Yeah,
against temptation.
that's right.
And a reminder to, like, act with integrity.
Exactly.
So I guess in today's world where we're constantly bombarded with choices and temptations,
Right.
this garment could represent, like, our values, our principles, the things that keep us grounded.
And what happens if it gets damaged?
Oh, interesting.
How do we repair it? Well, that's where the concept of Salih Amal comes in,
Okay.
which the paper defines as good deeds done with pure intention, quality, and completeness. So actively strengthening our moral fiber.
So it's not just about, like, avoiding bad things. It's
Yeah.
about, like, actively doing good things with the right intention.
Yeah, with the right intention and doing them well.
That actually makes me think about Taqwa and, like, our jobs,
Yeah,
The paper mentions professional ethics,
it does.
but how does Taqwa play out in our careers?
That's a great point, and we'll definitely delve deeper into the connection between Taqwa and professional ethics. But first, there's another layer to this garment metaphor that I think is particularly fascinating. So the paper highlights that this garment of Taqwa isn't static. It's something that evolves and adapts depending on the situation. Imagine a doctor, for instance.
Okay, a doctor wearing this garment.
Right, so their Taqwa might manifest in how they prioritize their patients' well-being, always striving to provide the best possible care, even when faced with difficult choices, or how they approach medical research, ensuring that it's ethical and that it benefits humanity.
So it's not just about their technical skills.
No.
It's about how they approach the entire profession with a sense of responsibility
Absolutely.
and ethical awareness.
Yeah, and that makes me wonder, can this garment ever be damaged or compromised?
Oh, that's interesting.
Absolutely. The paper talks about how negative influences like greed or ambition can essentially tear holes in this garment.
So for a doctor, that might mean prioritizing profit over patients.
Exactly, or cutting corners in research.
Okay, so how do we mend these tiers? Is Salih Amal enough?
Salih Amal is certainly a vital part of the repair process,
Okay.
but it's not a quick fix. The paper suggests that true mending comes from sincere introspection, recognizing our shortcomings, and actively working to realign our actions with principles of Taqwa.
So it's a process
It's a continuous process.
of self-improvement
Yes,
and ethical growth.
that's right.
I'm curious, though. The paper also mentions that God, in the Islamic context, possesses Taqwa.
Right.
And I'm having a little trouble wrapping my head around that.
Okay.
I mean, God is all-powerful.
Right.
Why would God need to be responsible?
That's one of the most thought-provoking aspects of the paper.
Yeah.
It really challenges our traditional understanding of divine attributes. They argue that God's Taqwa lies in choosing to act responsibly and justly despite having absolute power.
So it's more about, like, setting an example
It is.
than
yeah.
about, limiting God's power.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's like a cosmic call to action
It's
for
true.
all of us to follow suit.
That's a great way to put it.
But how does this concept of divine Taqwa translate into practical guidance for our everyday lives?
Well, the paper suggests that understanding God's Taqwa helps us recognize the importance of both respecting others' boundaries
Okay.
and safeguarding our own.
Oh, interesting.
It's about finding that balance between being considerate of others while also staying true to our own values.
So it's like a two-way street, responsible towards others,
Yeah.
responsible towards ourselves?
Precisely. And they use this great quote to illustrate this point.
What is it?
The circle of what is permissible is wide enough to satisfy all desires.
Okay.
There is no need to enter the circle of what is forbidden.
That's a really good quote because, it reminds me of that feeling when you're, like, tempted to do something you shouldn't, but then you realize that true satisfaction comes from, like, staying within the boundaries of what's right. It's like resisting that extra slice of cake sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes the most rewarding choice is the one that requires a little bit of restraint.
Totally. And this commitment to staying within those ethical boundaries
Right.
is directly compared to the Turkish soldiers at Sarıkamış.
That's good.
So just as they defended their homeland from enemy intrusion, so too should we protect our inner territory from harmful influences.
Exactly.
They were safeguarding a physical border
Uh-huh.
and were tasked with protecting a moral and ethical one.
That's right.
This idea of protecting our inner territory
Yeah.
really resonates with me.
It's powerful.
But how do we apply this principle
Right.
in a more concrete way?
Right.
How does Taqwa play out in different professions?
That's where the paper's discussion of professional ethics gets really interesting.
So we've talked about this garment of Taqwa protecting us from, wrongdoing.
Right.
But the paper also connects it to, like, achieving excellence
Yeah.
in any field.
In any field.
How does being responsible make us better at what we do?
Well, the paper argues that Taqwa isn't passive.
Okay.
It's a driving force that pushes us to strive for excellence no matter what our profession.
So, like, a doctor with Taqwa
Yeah.
wouldn't just be competent. They'd be constantly seeking ways to, like,
Improve their skills. Their knowledge always trying to provide the best possible care for their patients.
exactly. And a teacher with Taqwa
Yeah.
wouldn't just deliver the curriculum.
So,
They would go above and beyond to create an engaging and inspiring.
right, for their students.
Yeah.
Always pushing themselves to be better educators.
So it's like Taqwa adds another dimension to professionalism.
He does.
It elevates it beyond just being competent
Yeah.
to, like, a level of ethical and aspirational excellence.
Yeah, and it goes even further than that.
Okay.
It suggests that the degree of our Taqwa is directly proportional to our overall excellence as human beings.
I mean, isn't that a bit of a stretch?
Might seem that way at first,
Yeah.
but think about it. When we're committed to living responsibly and ethically,
Okay.
it impacts every aspect of our lives.
Right.
Our relationships, our work, our contributions to society. All of it is influenced by our commitment to Taqwa.
So it's not just about being a good person. It's about striving for excellence in all areas of life, driven by a deep sense of responsibility and ethical awareness.
It's like our inner Taqwa scorecard is always there,
Yeah.
measuring our alignment with these ideals.
And the higher our Taqwa score, the more we embody those qualities of responsibility, excellence, and ethical behavior,
Exactly.
which in turn leads to, like, a more fulfilling and impactful life.
That's right.
It makes you think about how we define success.
Yeah.
Is it about material wealth?
Right.
Or social status? Or is it about how well we embody these principles of Taqwa?
Right, and how much positive impact we have on the world around us.
And the paper definitely challenges us to rethink those traditional measures of success.
It does.
You know, it argues that true fulfillment comes from aligning our lives with these principles of Taqwa.
Right.
From striving to be the best versions of ourselves.
Yeah, not just for personal gain,
Yeah.
but for the betterment of society as a whole.
And that kind of brings us full circle to that story of the soldiers at Sarıkamış. You know, their sacrifice, their unwavering commitment to their duty can be seen as the ultimate example of Taqwa.
In action.
Yeah, it's a powerful reminder that Taqwa isn't just a concept.
Right.
It's a call to action.
Absolutely.
To strive for excellence in all that we do and to make choices that contribute to a better world.
It's a legacy that we can all strive to live up to in our own unique ways, whether we're doctors, teachers, artists, or anything else.
Right.
We can all embrace Taqwa as a guiding principle in our lives.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Taqwa, the big question is, how can we each weave this garment of Taqwa into the fabric of our own lives?
That's the question.
How can we make those choices big and small that reflect these ideals of responsibility, excellence, and ethical behavior?
It's a journey of continuous self-reflection and improvement,
Yeah,
but it's a journey worth taking.
totally.
By embracing Taqwa, we not only elevate ourselves, but also contribute to a more just compassionate and thriving world.
It's a really powerful and inspiring concept, and I hope this deep dive has given you a new perspective on what it means to live a responsible and fulfilling life. Until next time, keep diving deep.